What's up, folks? Mike Johnson, Yellow Buffalo here. I am kind of feeling a little sad today, honestly. I'm happy about this shirt. This is Drozilla D Blaze. Met him at the We Outside, so I'm feeling happy about that. This shirt fits me. And I didn't know if I was going to be able to wear a 2X, so that's good. I'm happy about that. I'll just say I feel like a lot of what is going on here is that I feel like I'm at my peak of like when your cup has been filled. We've got all this different types of cups. Your joy cup, your happiness cup, your sadness cup, your anger cup. And I feel like my sadness cup is just a little overfull. Because, there's always things, and, I just keep moving on. I just keep going. And I say, okay, it's going to be a good day today. It's going to be a good day tomorrow, etc., etc. And it is. It's always a good day because I got a roof over my head. I've got food in my belly. I got, friends. I may not talk to them very often, but I got a lot of people who love and care for me. And I know these things, and that might be the reason why I'm feeling sad. Is because I used to be a part of a lot of different things. I had I would throw my hat in the ring for anything that was coming up. And then it got to the point where I just kept saying no because I felt like I was being stretched too thin. I was burning the candle at both ends, and I just did not feel like I was taking care of myself. And so, many years have gone by where I have just gotten to the point where I just say no. Why? Because I don't want to get myself into a situation that I can't get myself out of. I have lost a lot in my life, and I'm to this point where I'm not clutching on to my pearls, but I am like, okay, dude, I am in almost my mid 40s. I am just now to the point where I've got something of my own where I can call it my own, and I don't have to worry about if somebody else is feeling some kind of way, or I don't have to expect something of somebody else because I've got this spot to myself. And so, even if like the neighbors got their kind of vibe or whatever, all I gotta do is close my blinds. It's not even about anybody else anymore. It's about me. And I think that's the reason why this conversation that I have, my mental conversation is so sad themselves. Because I wake up in the morning and they want to talk about all my old friends. They want to talk about all my old habits. They want to talk about all my old problems. And it's all been solved. For a year, maybe a year and a half, was dealing with a naggy spouse who didn't want me to drink. Now, I had been slowly tapering off of alcohol for a couple of years at that point. I told myself that I wanted to do these things on my terms. And so I did. And it got to the point where in the conversation, there was somebody who wanted to complain about my drinking. And it's been, I'll say, in the year 2025, I have drank once. And I wake up and it's, hey, you know, it's a lot of repetition about old things, about things that are no longer relevant. You know, when growing up, I was taught about the rule of 5. The rule of 5. Is it going to matter? You know, something bad happens. You know, and I'm not talking, you know, major, huge stuff. I'm just, let's say you have an argument with a friend. You know, is it going to matter in 5 minutes? Is it going to matter in 5 days or 5 hours, 5 days, 5 weeks, 5 months, 5 years? The rule of 5. Is it going to matter? Because 5 minutes from now, if it's not going to matter, then it didn't matter in the first place. So I'm looking at a lot of things and applying the rule of 5 because I know that worry does nothing but create more worry. But I still have all of this talk about these people that I no longer deal with. And I mentioned this before. It's because we abused each other. We abused each other, and I didn't want to be in an abusive relationship anymore. I didn't want to be in any codependent relationships anymore. I didn't want to deal with narcissists. I didn't want to deal with cancel culture. I didn't want to deal with triangulations. I didn't want to deal with expectations. You know, and here's the thing. At some point, somebody's going to start depending on these videos, and if I don't put one up, then their expectations are going to be dashed, and they're going to be disappointed. And I know this, and so I wake up in the morning, and that's one of the first things I want to think of is, hey, what should I talk about? What should I talk about? Because I know I haven't been doing this for very long, but I do know that a lot of people who have seen them, wow, that makes sense. That's a good point. And I would rather be that than to have no plan. I would rather have that than to have people go, wow, he just, yeah. This is why I talk about the way that I feel. And this is the reason why I keep going. You know, sometimes it's difficult to get on a roll. I am used to talking about specific issues and not just coming up and saying, hey, entire world, what's up? Here's what's going on in my head today. This is new for me. This is an experience that, you know, while I was doing live videos where my friends could see them, I never thought that I would actually get the gumption to start making videos and posting them. I didn't think I was going to be able to do that because I was nervous about being judged. I was nervous about being disrespected. I was worried about how I would respond. And I know I'm still pretty early in this, got 15 subscribers, but I've also had like 800 people watch some of my videos. I've had 1,000 people watch some of my videos. And I know at some point, 30-minute long video can be a lot for some people. A lot of people have, what did I say? I used to say this a lot. Have the the attention span of a cantaloupe. Yeah. Like, man, that person's got the attention span of a cantaloupe. Don't waste your time. But it's the reason why is because we've got all these things flashing in front of us so quickly that we don't even take the time to sit and just breathe it in, soak it in. We have all these ideas. We have all this information that we're being bombarded with. And do we ever actually just take the time to I like that. I like being able to breathe. I like being able to just sit and think for a minute. Now, as soon as I stop talking, it's never it's never been something that I it's never been something that I wanted to go viral about, having a conversation with beings that no one can see. And I don't have all the answers to the universe. And, I can't predict I can predict the future, but, it hasn't been happening lately. It's almost like my gifts flipped on me because I don't feel like I flipped. I really don't feel like I flipped. I just think that for the longest time, I was looking at what I saw as injustice, and I saw a culture that saw it as the norm. So I can't say that I flipped. I can't say that I'm the one who is different. Because I look at my life and I look at the way that I see things and I see myself as pretty much exactly the freaking same. They say don't do shadow work unless you want to fundamentally change something about yourself. I don't know exactly what it was that I changed about myself other than that I'm not at somebody's beck and call anymore. I don't feel beholden to anyone anymore. I am very happy to have friends, very happy to have family and people who I care about. I'm not one to go chase after somebody. If somebody wants to leave, bye. I don't want to feel like I can't be my authentic self. Because that's what a lot of relationships have been. Is having to hide who it is you really are in order to make other people happy. And we saw this in the last couple of elections. Families were torn apart. Relationships ended. All because somebody wasn't willing to accept somebody else's differences. And the problem with this, the deeper problem with this is people are jumping on bandwagons because of wedge issues. Okay? It's not because people feel there's a lot of issues that I try and stay very far away from. And the reason why is because I don't want to get into that argument, because they're arguments that are never going to end. Because one person is going to feel one way, and another person is going to feel another way, and either way, they're going to be valid, and we just have to agree to disagree. Excuse me. I've been doing that all day. I've just been yawning all day. I've been tired. Haven't really wanted to get out of bed. But I've also been falling asleep in my chair, which is a habit I've been trying to get out of. I was doing pretty good for a couple of months, but I was working for a while and then I wasn't, and now that I'm not, I'm like, well, I don't have to get up early. And so I stay up longer watching TV, and then I fall asleep in my chair. And, of course, you see the result. Excuse me. Oh, man. Sorry, guys. I know those of you really empathetic people are yawning right now and wiping your eyes and wondering why I'm doing this to you. I really feel like there's a lot of positives, though. Let me see. I feel like there's a lot of positives in my life. I'm looking to go back to school, do something with AI, tech, somehow, something. I'm looking for this scholarship, hopefully, that I can get, because, I'm most of the way through my degree in anthropology, but I've got to do other things in order to pay off the school, etc. But, and I found this out, you can get scholarships, even if you owe schools money, even if you, all your financial aid is taken up, you can still get scholarships for other schools. And so I am wanting to do that because I don't like sitting and doing nothing. And as much as I am looking at other jobs, and as much as I am trying to figure out what's best for my future, I'm still wanting this to take off as well. Because I don't feel like sitting in front of a camera for a few minutes a day is a bad thing. I don't feel like sitting and talking about one's opinions and one's beliefs and then putting them out there for the world to see is a bad thing. I think that it's great. And I think that everyone who has an opinion should do this. Now, just remember, if you're going to do the First Amendment, no personal attacks, no singling anybody out, and no singling any groups out. That's how you stick with the First Amendment. Oh, yeah, and don't incite any violence. That's how you can do the First Amendment. And I know people have said it's under attack, but people have been misusing the First Amendment. And this is the reason why it's important for those of us who have actually studied it to let it be known. Hey, guys, no, you can't talk smack about somebody and call it the First Amendment. You can't call it freedom of speech, because that's not what it is. You can't say something about a specific group and say that it's free speech, because that is singling people out, and that is ad hominem personal attacks. That's not okay. You can talk about anything you would like to talk about, but you can't talk about anyone like that. Now, I think because people are in certain positions, like positions of power, etc., people talk about them, but it's about what they're doing and not about who they are as a person. And you know, if people are saying that somebody's a bad person, it's not because of the quality of their, you know, like they were born and they're a bad person now. No, it's about what they have done that has affected millions of people. You know, millions of people. And I would like to remind all of you that most of us don't have that big of a scope. We don't have that big of a range. And so we spend all of our time, you know, trying to take each other down, trying to knock each other down a peg when we don't realize that it's them who've been trying to get us to knock each other down. It's the people who want to try and get us to fight one another. It's the ones who want to try and get us to harm each other, because that's distracting us from the truth. You know, that's we've got a president who's sending military troops around the country trying to antagonize just enough to be able to declare martial law. You know, and then those camps that have been created will be filled, not just with immigrants and people who look like they weren't born here. So I just want this to be very clear in everyone's mind that we don't have to fight each other. We don't have to fight each other. This is the reason why we've been fighting, is to keep us distracted from what's really going on. And I know I talk about so many other things, but this is the number one most important thing, is our freedom. And you might think that being a jerk and doing whatever you want is freedom, but that's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm talking about. Being able to express your thoughts and opinions online is freedom. Being able to say you disagree with something, with a law, with a lawmaker, you know, for one of their decisions, that is freedom. Okay, being able to marry anyone who you want, that's freedom. Being able to worship anyone who you want, that is freedom. Okay, going and traipsing around neighborhoods, creating fear, that is not freedom. And we're seeing this now. We're seeing this now more often than it was, because somebody wants to stay in power. Somebody wants to stay in power, and so they're going to try and make an excuse, and then we'll see what happens. Because if any of us decide to jump when he says jump, then we're going to put us all into the fire, out of the frying pan and into the fire. We are going to be in some serious trouble here. So I would just like all of you to know that we are in this together. Doesn't matter if you're left, right, center. Doesn't matter what color you are. Doesn't matter who you love and fall in love with. Doesn't matter who you pray to. Doesn't matter, okay, how much money you've got in your bank account. What matters is the fact that we are all in this together. If the big earthquake decides to hit, it's going to affect the entire globe. You know, at 9.8 point something, 10 point something earthquake that's supposed to hit chain reaction earthquake all the way from Alaska all the way down through South America. This ring of fire that we've got here, all of the tectonic plates, all of the volcanoes that we've got here, all the fault lines, all that kind of stuff. And I don't like mentioning this stuff out loud because I call it, putting it into the universe. But this is my biggest fear. This is my biggest fear because an earthquake that big, there is absolutely nothing we can do about that. Giant tsunami, different forms of natural disasters. This is why I'm glad I live in Oregon, because the one natural disaster we really have to worry about is the one that's going to take us all out anyways. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. That's where I'm at with it. Pacific Northwest, one of the safest places to be, but just know that there is that one big risk that everyone is taking being here. So I feel like that's the way that our society is too. We are kind of teetering on this. We can go higher or we can fall. Okay. And we keep building higher and higher and higher. But what happens if somebody flicks the house? What happens if that tower comes tumbling down? And I'm talking about so many different things. I'm talking about so many different things because we're all dependent on so many different things. Let's get away from the things that harm us. I was talking about this and on one of the shorter videos that I did, there was this commercial for this drug that helps people who have opiate addictions get off of opiates. And it starts where people are in this chasm, this canyon, where they're obviously going through the throes of addiction and they're looking terrible, and it's just I'm sorry, when I explain this, it's, oh my God, they look so bad. Like they do a really good job of depicting someone who is experiencing that. And then what they do is they show somebody, they pan up to on top of the cliff, and then they see this guy who's hanging out with his family, and he's playing basketball, and he's going to class, and doing all these things, and eating ice cream, and he's doing all this on the edge. He's doing all this on the edge, right there where he could fall off back into that chasm. And what I said when I had that video before is, why would you be on the edge of that cliff? Why wouldn't you push yourself further away from what harms you? Don't be hanging on the edge of that cliff. Don't be hanging on the edge of that cliff, because I'm going to tell you something. Don't be playing around the edge of that cliff. Because I'm going to tell you something, it's really easy to fall. It's really easy to fall. And this is the reason why we need to climb. Climb and get away from that edge. Because you know what? When we actually take the time to look, we're all decent people. We're all decent people that want the same things. We want health for ourselves and for our family. We want peace of mind. We want safety. And we want the ability to progress and grow and be better than we were the day before. Go out and love somebody. Have a good day, y'all. Peace.